Kia ora, g'day, welcome back once again, here with another reaction to Mr. Christian Craighead, former 22 SAS operator, otherwise known as Obi-Wan Nairobi, here on the Sean Ryan Show. So let's jump back in.
So it's easy now to point fingers and say we shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, what was the pulse of your unit? Were you guys excited?
yeah. Any opportunity to go to combat or potential combat should be greeted with enthusiasm. Be like, yeah, hopefully this will be it. The two deployments done before, we hadn't really seen any combat. When I say combat, I'm using the term combat. Shooting an exchange of gunfire isn't necessarily combat, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But like, as a lot of people in Iraq and Afghanistan will find out in the future, that that then it was like on.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys in the British Army had some real tough fights, but at that time it was kind of an unusual thing. Going into 2003, there hadn't been this.
How long had it been since the regiment had been at war? Where were you guys drawing?
So I wasn't in the regiment in 2003.
Okay,
I'm still in Pathfinder platoon.
Pathfinder. I guess what I'm asking is, where were you guys drawing your experience from?
Again, I'm getting confused because sometimes most people call I call the unit, I call the SAS the unit, but a lot of people call the SAS the regiment.
Okay.
So when you say the regiment, but from the
anyone
from the parachute, the last sort of proper scrapping war was the Falklands War in 1982.
So you're drawn from 1982 experience in 2001.
Well, 2000, but then when they went to Afghanistan, it was the different Afghanistan. So 2003 was when this army's deploying to Iraq to invade Iraq.
Do you understand what I'm asking? So with the SEAL teams, when we went in, you're drawing off experience from very real world operations. I mean, there was some stuff that went down in Panama and Colombia, right? There was a couple of SEALs on the ground in Somalia. There wasn't a whole lot of experience, like real experience to draw from.
Exactly the same thing.
You had a lot of experience of peacetime.
That was the same thing in the army I joined, because as much as they were super professional and dedicated instructors in training, none of them had seen any combat.
Yeah,
with the exception of in junior para, one corporal was in the Falklands, and this platoon sergeant was in the Falklands.
That's cool. I thought Sean was going to be talking about the experience that the SEALs have gained from various operations that they'd been on prior to the Iraq invasion. But it's cool how he's mentioned. So it sounds like there wasn't as much. There's probably bits and pieces of knowledge, experience, and I think of probably the similar one. I remember in Australia during the patrol procedures phase of the cycle, we had some guys, instructors, badge members that came to help out on our as instructors on our patrol procedures course that had some fairly recent Afghanistan experience. So they'd been over there in 2001, part of, I think there was Anaconda. I think there was Operation Anaconda at that time. And so, yeah, they had some experience, and they come back, and it was interesting, and it was also exciting. Well, not exciting. It was cool listening to them in terms of the knowledge that they gained whilst being over there, and then bringing that back, and then sharing that, distilling that information to us as, up and coming, aspiring operators within the unit at that time. So it's cool to hear him speak about this. It's cool, like Christians basically acknowledging the same thing. There seems like they didn't have a massive pool or group to grab that information and knowledge from. There were bits and pieces or a few operators and stuff around. Interesting. I did think that the US would have had a bigger pool. Well, they do have a bigger pool in comparison, but I suppose from Sean's perspective, and when he's been in the unit or been in the SEAL teams and seen that, it sounds like it was pretty dispersed or spread around.
But the others were talking about, kill, but none of them had done it before.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting when you think about it. And I think that's where the military is heading now. Is we've got a whole generation of instructors who missed the boat on the war on terror.
Yeah,
and are drawing on experience of so now they're teaching on opinion rather than on experience.
Yeah, well, this is a whole nother direction that we can go into. But I mean, personally, I believe here in the U.S., I can't speak for anywhere else. I believe that they are actively trying to get rid of all of the wartime experience and that entire mindset. That's why you're seeing the forced vaccinations. That's why you're seeing the woke agenda.
Yeah.
That's why you're seeing forced inclusivity.
Yeah.
All of these things. Nobody joins the military to deal with that kind of shit.
Yeah.
They join the military to defend their country and go to war, fight, and go to battle for their country.
It seemed like a mark of shame if you say that nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
You say, what do you want to do? I want to go to war. Oh, and all of the recruitment adverts are all based around either woke agenda or it's about peacetime type operations, like support and influence. Yes, they're important.
Yeah.
But it's always like that sort of narrative, not full on.
And I think that's why, sorry to cut him off there, but I think that's why Christian, from memory, in one of the last reactions, he was talking about the warriors, or you're either one or the other. You can't have both. And I spoke about that. Like, my opinion is you can have both. You do have both. You do need both. But there is definitely a space for those warriors that join because of the things that Sean Ryan discussed and the things that Christian has spoken about as well. Like, it's that may sound bad to some people, but hey, we need people like that are prepared to and that want to voluntarily go and defend and serve and do the things that other people maybe are not prepared to or unwilling to or unable to do.
There's no pride in it.
Full anymore. On, the Russians are attacking. Yeah. It's World War III. Let's go. None of that. It's like, and I suspect I can only speak for myself, and people might strongly disagree with this, but it's like a mark of shame now if you were served in. If you said, "Oh, yeah, I was in the war on terror," it's like, "Oh, we don't talk about that." That's not what we're about.
Yeah, we're getting really good at erasing history.
It costs me and a lot of other people a lot of things.
Recruiting numbers are down in the UK.
I believe so. Yeah.
There are,
and especially into the. I don't know firsthand, but someone said there was an article recently that recruitment into special forces or the tier 1 special forces is at an all-time low as well.
Yeah.
Apparently, I might be wrong, but apparently it's.
I know for a fact it is here, but it seems like it's just.
It gives a message. It's a message. It's like where your action movies, all these it's like training from the minute you're born. Now you have a generation of people, not all, but this is the generation. Well, why would I want to do that? Well, there's a high chance of death, high risk. Do I get paid more? Not really. Why would I want to do that? It's just strange.
It's actually a good question.
It's bragging rights, isn't it? It's for it's bragging rights. This is the biggest motive. Egos are brilliant. That's what it's for. It's like, why do you want to do it? Well, so I can say I'm a Navy SEAL.
I mean, looking at it, listening to what you're saying, I'm hearing it, and I'm like, actually, this is just common sense.
Yeah, who's the?
Do I get paid more? No. Why would I want to?
But
it's good that they can have a laugh and think about that, and reflect on those, because, man, when you want to be there in a unit like that, and I can only speak for myself, like, the paycheck had nothing to do with it for me. Like, the danger had nothing to do with it. If anything, that drew me in more, because it meant that I would need to really have to dial in terms of the work that I needed to do, the skills that I would need to develop, and my ability to apply that knowledge and training and the skill that I would be taught. And so all of that stuff just drew me in. The fact that you got paid a little bit more, or man, when I went to Australia, holy heck, the pay in that there was like, it still didn't resonate with me in terms of even just before getting to the regiment, just being in the 4RAR commando unit at that time. The pay was huge, like for me and where I was from and what I had been used to getting in the New Zealand Defence Force. I think even at that time it was more than double what I was on as a private here in New Zealand at that time, and so that was a heck of a lot of money. And then when you got badged and you're an operator in the unit, I was like, holy heck, this is like 2.5 times what I was on, or what I would have been on had I, been successful in getting badged in NZ. But even then, like that was just like a cherry on the top. It had nothing to do with why I wanted to be there. The risk factor and the danger, high possibility, just in training of things going wrong and potentially losing your life, like you're made aware of that just didn't factor into my decision or didn't influence in any negative way my desire to want to be there even more. So yeah, it's funny listening to him though, and Sean makes a good point as you listen to Christian speak about those. Says actually that's pretty common sense. Yeah, why would I want to do that? Can laugh about it now, but yeah, back then, like, didn't factor into the planning at all.
People, no. Is there a chance of death? Yes. Sign me up.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
There's a high chance you do this mission, you're never going to come back. It's a one-way mission. Sounds great. Perfect.
Yeah.
So,
well, let's rewind. Let's go back to 2003. So you deployed for the invasion, the Iraq invasion in 2003 as a Pathfinder.
Yeah.
How many people were you deploying with?
In my team, it was a 6-man team.
That's it.
Yeah, 6-man, and a 6-man like reconnaissance team. When we deployed across the border, my patrol wasn't employed so we drove over in the cut down Land Rovers across with the main force, and then we waited for a mission. I was held in very high regard by the officer commanding of Pathfinders, and he was saying, I'm not going to employ you yet, waiting for the right job for you, which was frustrating for me and frustrating for my team. And but then I got a job, and it was good.
What was it?
It was good. It was a close target reconnaissance of an Iraqi armored division. So it meant getting close to the Iraqi armored division on foot, going in and getting as close as you can, trying to work out numbers, routine, and also look at there was a MSR, like a road behind the armored division. There's also a secondary mission was to check the quality of the road and what condition it was in, and that kind of vibe and general atmospherics of the area.
So Pathfinders is a reconnaissance element.
Yeah.
Is there a sniper element as well?
The snipers in every team. There's a sniper in every team. So for this mission, it was like there's 4,000 Iraqi troops in this armored division.
4,000. You guys are,
and it's me
conducting surveillance.
6-man team.
No. So I'm thinking just on the Pathfinders, I don't know a heck of a lot about them, but I know that they are held in very high regard. I think I might have mentioned that in one of the other reactions when Christian mentioned that he was in the Pathfinders and their selection process and stuff to get into there. But they would be pretty similar to other SF units, whereby you're going to be self-contained. You're going to have a sniper or somebody who's qualified sniping in there. You're going to have a highly qualified, skilled medic. Everybody will have trauma medical skills to a degree, but there'll probably be somebody who's dedicated as the medic for the team. The communications guy, the communications guy, the signaller. Again, everybody would be able to use comms and have comms, but then you'll have the person that's dedicated for those comms, your patrol commander, your 2IC, your scout group, etc., or your scout and or your gunner, depending on what it is that they're taking into theatre with them and their team, and then how they choose to deploy or employ each operator for the various tasks. So yeah, it's it just gives me a bit of a reminder of how big the US beast is when Sean says, is there a sniper element? Like, you've got the manpower and the numbers and the resources to have but to have these dedicated groups of individuals that are just highly skilled experts, specialists in that area. Whereas the SAS, I think, in my opinion anyway, and SF in general, you're more generalists across a whole range of different skills, but you're not as much of an expert as like a sniper within like a dedicated sniper. That's their whole role, as an example, or a dedicated medic who just has all those skills and expertise. They go through an 18-month medical program or longer versus a 3-month medical course that I was fortunate to do, as an example. Like the 18-monther is going to be much higher level.
No air support.
Whoa.
And it's I was a JTAC at the time. I was the team leader, and I carried the radio in case if we needed air support, we'd do a 9-line, and but it wasn't overhead. It would be chalked to us if we needed it. And I had to think about this. I'm going to say this to everyone. It's a true story, and doesn't mean everything I say is bullshit. But it was a good mission, and the OC actually said to me, "You don't have to do this because there's a high." We kind of worked. They said that you're going to come into contact with the enemy. It's high risk. You don't have to do it, but if you want it, you can do it. And I was like, "Of course, I'm going to do it." There's yeah. So I then came up with the plan, and because of the,
did you say, "Am I going to get paid more"?
Yeah.
No.
What?
There's a high chance of dying?
Yeah.
Yes.
But it was,
I'm in.
Yeah. But so how I'm doing this is we're going to use another patrol to we'll call a sponsor patrol. So we drove to like a release point, and so we got given this operations box around this armored division, and you had 3 3rd Battalion, the parachute. Their sniper team was looking at the bottom bit, and then the armored reconnaissance was looking into the top bit, and then my team was going to go into the actual hornet's nest. The sponsor patrol, so all in all, it'd be 2 vehicles from my team and 2 vehicles from the sponsor patrol would go to a release point, and then I would leave my vehicles behind and then go in on foot. So the sponsor, and because of noise, I didn't want to take 6 people there. So I said, I'm going to go with 3 people, me and 2 others. So we then work out who's going to do it. So I go in, I've got the Army SU SA rifle with a 40 Mike grenade launcher underneath. I've got the radio for the aircraft. I then take Paddy, who was actually my second in command. Brilliant sniper. He's going in with a sniper rifle. And the reason for that is when we get to a point where we're going to approach in on foot, Paddy would then set up with his sniper rifle, give overwatch, whilst me and a guy called Larry would then go in, 2 of us, towards the armoured vehicles and try and scope it out. So less people, less movement, less noise. And Larry, who's ended up into the SAS as well, brilliant soldier, brilliant mindset. He had the M249, the Minimi, and so we had we had hand grenades and Browning high power pistols. So we're taking as much firepower as we can for 3 men. So on the first night we have a bit of an incident. One of the vehicles rolls, and the second in command of Pathfinders, an officer, gets badly injured, and so that's the mission gets scrubbed that night. Next night, just reset and do it again. This time everything goes well. We get to the release point, and then the 3 of us set off on foot into this armored division. The going from the release point towards it is terrible. There's like mounds of mud, like mud mounds, and it was so bad going. So I should add as well, for that night we blacked out all our faces, not like camouflage cream, not blackface. So we just and my theory was, because I'd heard it from an experienced SES guy years earlier, who taught me a lot, was that if you come face to face with the enemy, it gives you like a good edge. having camouflage cream on, and we sort of knew we were going to come into contact with the enemy, and like before we left, we stripped down our weapons, cleaned the magazines, everything, because it was like a given. People were very envious that we were going to do it because we knew. So we set off on foot, and the going is so bad, like really bad. So I again have to make a command decision, but I'm going to run it through these two guys who I hold in the highest regard. So because look, if we continue to go on this course, we're not going to get there in time, and worst case we'll be trapped in the daylight in the open. I said, so what I suggest is we get onto this track. We know the rules, we don't walk on tracks, but we get on this track, move down the track at pace up until there was a set of power lines crossing it. I said that we'll use that power lines as a mark, and then get off the track and then move towards the armored division. You're happy with that? Because it's moving on track, and I know, but I think it's the best idea. And they're like, absolutely, it's the best call. So get on the track. I'm number 1. Larry with the minimize is number 2, and Paddy at the back with the sniper rifle. And then we're moving down the track. As we're approaching, there's on the right hand side of this track, there's a berm about 6 feet high, all the way down, as you see in the Middle East a lot. And moving down the track, and I see the power lines, and just as about to break off the power lines to go off us, my day sack with my packing's aching my arms, and I stop to adjust it. And as I stop, I hear whispering to my right hand side. I'm like, in Arabic. So I slowly like, turn, and I'm like that. And we had night vision goggles on, like to the two other guys. I'm like that, like thumbs down, like enemy, like there. And then Larry's like stops, pausing, like silently swings straight away to cover. And the distance is we're about 8 yards apart.
That's it.
From each of the three of us. So there's like eight yards to me, Larry, and then about 8 yards back to Paddy. But the berm is about from me to you away, and the whispering's on the other side of it. So I'm like, and I'm like to Larry and Paddy, and they slowly walk up. And then as he gets, I'm like, there's whispering over the other side of the berm, like. Because it's this thing on the message was like, you can't engage the enemy unless you're getting engaged or like thing. And I'm like, and then all of a sudden, I don't know if it's because the movement, the whispering, someone stands up behind the berm. Instantly, I reach up, lean up and take a shot. One shot and my weapon jams. Then I go into trance state. I don't freeze out. I'm like, boom, he goes down, but my weapon stopped. Don't know why. I just run straight down to my outboard pocket, pull out a high explosive grenade, run over the berm. Sorry, I'm missing a bit out. Before as they close up, I then silently go to the berm and look over the top with my night vision goggles on, and I can see around about 8 to 12 Iraqi soldiers all in a huddle talking to each other and stuff. So I think where the power lines was, it was like they were using that as a marker, and it was like a standing patrol or a sentry position. Then I close down, and then I say 8 to 12 Iraqi army soldiers behind the berm. And I don't know if it's because they heard the movement or they heard my voice. Then guy stands up, take the shot, he goes down.
So you killed him?
I don't know. I don't know if I hit him. Well, I probably hit him, but I don't know if I killed him. It was one shot with,
gotcha.
With NATO ammo. But he goes down. I then run up with the high explosive grenade and throw it down into all the Iraqis. That detonates, and there's a bit of a scream, and there's still threat to life, and they're all there. And I run and I pull out my brown power pistol, and I shoot 5 of them. So it's like a chaos drill. And onto my left hand side. Larry's there. He's making music with his M249. He's dealing with threats, and then Paddy with the sniper rifle. He's then throwing hand grenades to potential depth position.
Wow!
And so this is my first experience of using lethal force, and and there's a lot of takeaway points from this. So then I'm like, okay, let's go, and I'm like, let's go. I quickly clear that stoppage. What I think had happened is the cocking handle on a SA moves back and forth, and when I fired that first round, it caught on my like loose black jacket, and then so all threats have been neutralized. Like I said, they all like recognized straight away. Firstly, when we set up, and then when we took the shot and when we went over the top on the detonators, they were still, you know what high explosive grenades like. It's not like the movies where everyone gets blown. It's like overstung, but people were there, weapons, threat to life. We were in the middle of it. We're a war. So then I engaged 5 of them and take them down. And then, like I said, all the other things go on. I then say, right, let's go. You 2 move back and I'll cover. So we then do the one. I'm like holding it. They're running back, moving back. I fired a 40 mil grenade just beyond the position, just to deter any sort of follow up. And then I said, right, get on the road and let's fucking go. So we did a couple of bounds, and then it was turn and then run. And to all these doubters in the military, you say, when you do combat fitness tests and you got your gear and you got to run fast for 2 miles, it's for things like this. Mm-hmm. And we're running, and we run to the emergency extraction point or the emergency rendezvous. Get there. Paddy then sets up his sniper rifle. So looking down, we're hoping there's going to be a follow up, and but then I'm on the radio, send a contact report asking for the sponsor patrol to come and pick us up, and then we're waiting in the dock, and it's funny because Larry's like cursing to himself quietly under his mouth, going, "Why the fuck aren't they coming?" Like he's like, and that's it. We're all angry that they're not following us. Why aren't they trying to attack us? Why aren't they coming after us? Because it's that mindset.
I'm going to pause that there. I was just really enjoying listening to Christian. That to me felt like one of the most free-flowing parts of his interview so far, with regards to him talking about and recounting this experience, his first engagement and first introduction to actual combat. Yeah, man, what an experience. The opportunity with that task. People might listen to it and hear that and go, well, it's a failed mission because they didn't get to where they needed to get to. But like he set the scene well at the start. His OC had mentioned, hey, you don't have to do this task if you don't want to. And so, yeah, of course we want to do it. And then him and, was it Paddy and Larry, his other 2 offsiders, the one sniper and the other one with the machine gun, the Minimi, or Minimi, I think he called it. Making music with it. Jeez, that who dares wins. Yeah, you don't walk on tracks, all that sort of stuff. Man, there's some time pressure. Like, they're weighing things up. It's not a reckless decision. It was a calculated risk based on the terrain that they were trying to navigate, which again, man, if we keep trying to get to where we need to get to through this stuff, we are not going to make it. And then we're going to be compromised and or potentially just stuck and exposed in daylight in an area whereby there's 3 of us and a blinking division of whatever was there. So I think he said 4,000 Iraqi troops, armored division or whatever it was. We definitely didn't come across any of that where we were in the Western Desert, in the area that we had looking for weapons of mass destruction. But we were definitely made aware of an armored division in terms of that could potentially, or that we might encounter whilst we're out on our tasks. And thankfully we didn't encounter any armored divisions with our light-skinned, soft-skinned vehicles or our LRPVs. But yeah, there was a good time. But listening to him tell this story, wow. It's interesting. Why aren't they following us? The 2-mile run in your kits for things like that may happen. But I can also see on his face when he's talking, like, just the joy that he seems to have with regards to it. And there's nothing wrong with that, eh? I think, there's people, everybody has their own way of sharing their experiences with regards to what they've been through and what they've encountered. And clearly that is a part of Christian's life that he really relished, that he really wanted to be there, and he's got some experiences and stuff from that which have led to him being able to do what he did also in Nairobi at the hotel there when the terrorists decided to go and try and take it over. So yeah, pretty cool listening to him. And I was just, like I said, just glad to hear him free flowing with his conversation or with his retell and recount of his first experience there in that type of environment. So anyway, if you stuck around this long, appreciate you. Hope you enjoyed listening to Christian as well. Not so much me, but hopefully you enjoyed listening to Christian. If you did stick around this long listening to me ramble on, appreciate you. Thank you very much. As always, anybody going through any hard times, difficulties, challenges, just keep turning up, keep staying in the fight. Know that better days are ahead and that they are closer than you think and that the sun will shine again. There is a light at the end of that tunnel. So stick at it, stay in the fight. Know that you're not alone. Stay as consistent and as disciplined as you can, and I promise you, better days are coming for you. So as always, go always a little further. Remember, who dares wins and who cares wins. And until the next video, there's a big mana wave coming from me to you, filled with my aroha, respect, appreciation, and gratitude for you all.